Never give up on two things. Your dream and your education. Because one day, they may meet in the biggest plot twist of your life. There's a lot of expectations on comedians. You expect us to make you laugh, inspire you, and heal you. And that's good. You should be expecting more. Because many of us aren't telling you the whole truth. If laughter is medicine, then is the stand-up comedian the doctor or the patient? If laughter is medicine, then is a stand-up comedy show the ER? If laughter is medicine, is the comedy club the hospital or the medical school? Can a physician prescribe 3 jokes, 2 memes, and a hug that tickles you? Can you go to the pharmacy and turn this in? Well, I'm very sick right now. I need a lot of laughter. The funny thing is that in a room where there's singing and laughing, heartbeats actually synchronize. So there's some truth to that point. I had achieved a great deal of average success. Like I was a thousandaire, yani. Not millionaire, not billionaire. Yeah, very average-aire. So much so that my high school invited me to come to host the reunion, the high school reunion, 20 years. I said, are you sure? I was the fattest kid in school. Are you sure? You all bullied me in school. Are you sure you want me to host? No, Mona, you'll be fine. I get there, and all of my fellow colleagues and friends and kids in school said, oh, Mona, it's going to be awesome. You used to make so much fun of us at school. It's going to be great. The comedy's going to be fun. Yeah, you always made fun of me all the time. You were so funny. If laughter is medicine, can it be poisonous? What's the difference between a comedian and a bully? In 2006, I had just finished up all of my academic work for my master's thesis. I was working in an area called post-apartheid development, post-occupation development. My focus was Namibia, former Southwest Africa. It was a former colony of South Africa. It was a country that got liberated in 1990. And I was going in 2006. And I was looking at the urban layout because I'm coming from Chicago. If you don't know, Chicago, in my lifetime, has been rated one of the most violent, vicious, racist, dangerous, hell of a city that people still live in. And the urban design was structured for racism. Other nations borrowed our modality. So my question was, what does life feel like in an unoccupied land? Wow. So I decided to go to Namibia. I went to Windhoek. Windhoek, capital of Namibia, Southern Africa. Again, it was free 4 years before South Africa. I had the pleasure to be able to see how reconciliation works by sitting there with the former freedom fighters, SWAPO, on one side of the table, and the UN, UNDP, all the most important powers to help rebuild a nation were sitting across from each other. Freedom fighters can't always run statistics. Freedom fighters can't always do Gini coefficients and know the urban layout. They rely on other organizations. But what was going on in Namibia that I didn't know, but I sensed and I could see, was people could relate to me. Shuyani, I'm a Palestinian American from Chicago. I'm not Namibian. But the way I look and the way I sound and the TV they had been watching, I looked normal until I opened my mouth. In 1990, when that country became free, it started turning on the television, and it started watching one very focused type of television. It was watching Black America. In the 1990s, if you're not familiar, Black America was generating some major comedy shows. In Living Color, Martin, some of the most important stand-up comics, Kevin Hart, all these huge names that you know now were in TV, likely in the 90s. Big names, amazing. And Namibia, Southern Africa as well, and a lot of former occupied lands were watching how the Black American experience in art was liberating itself. And it was affecting the identity of Namibians and Southern Africans. So much so that by 2018, when I performed with a fellow Namibian, she looked and sounded just like me. Wow, very powerful. In urban design, one of the concepts that's really important is something called shared spaces. It's a space that is so neutral that when humans come to it, they know how to behave. Like a shared walkway, bicyclist, and roadway. The cars, the bikes, the pedestrians, you know where to go, even if there's no signs. It makes you slow down. Shared spaces is for everyone, all classes. And what had been evolving in Namibia was that television set. Powerful. So I go back home to Chicago and I'm ready. I wrote a 60-page thesis. Ooh, mwah, it was gonna be beautiful. But my thesis advisor was the type of person that was so aggressive, scary, and mean. I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get my thesis done. She terrified me. So I said, no problem. It's okay. I'm gonna become a comedian. I'm gonna figure out the source of all of that entertainment. Because all the TV that they were watching in Namibia was rooted in LA, Los Angeles. One of my most important mentors, Michael Williams, opened the first Black comedy club in America in 1985 in Los Angeles because he himself needed somewhere to heal. And he was going to comedy clubs and it wasn't connecting. There wasn't enough Black people on stage. He wanted to feel his pain and heal it. So he started a revolution by opening up one comedy club that brought in all of the Black talent and Black voice from across the country. Power. People were expressing their pain, talking about things they hadn't been talking about in years. And for the first time, the Black voice in America, formerly individualized, former slaves, there was a lot of evolution and civil rights going on in the United States that was now coming together on one comedy stage, meaning the Black voice was now unifying. Somebody from LA could understand somebody from New York. It was very powerful. And it was generating talent after talent after talent. But the lie that we're not sharing with you as comedians is that we are a walking entrepreneur. We're not just here to make you laugh. We are the finance department of any company because we have to take care of our own finances. We are the marketing department because we have to market ourselves. We are the HR department. If I'm sick, I've got to call Mona Aburmishan, a comedian, and tell her I can't come to work. Do you know how hard that is? Hi, Mona, I can't come to work. I'm sick. Yeah, Mona, but they booked you. Your name is Mona. You have to go to work. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'm going to go to work. You know, we are every single aspect of a business, but we're not sharing it and we're not teaching it. We're hoarding it for fame and celebrity. So, if laughter is medicine with a master's degree, with all this success, top. Why was Muna Aburmishan so sick? What was going on with me? How come laughter wasn't medicine for me? Until I watched a TED Talk. I watched a TED Talk with Elizabeth Gilbert that came out in 2009, and she talked about ole, yani to surrender to the divine, Ya Allah. For all the artists and writers that are suffering, many comedians commit suicide. I'm tired of going to funerals for people who work so hard to make the world happy and laugh. I'm tired of it. I watched that TED Talk, and it changed me. From then on, backstage, I would have my jokes, and then I would say, ole, Ya Allah, take it from here. And what showed up was the most beautiful comedy ever. And I started seeing, oh, okay, the comedy club is training for society. So I started teaching the principles from comedy into schools with kids, teaching kids stand-up comedy that had autism, but on stage, it's not there. Taking it into corporate America, helping accountants really feel comfortable through shifts of the organization because they can talk to one another. Then we took it to the University of Chicago. I said we. It was me, baby. It was all me and Allah. Took it to the University of Chicago Medical School. Again, University of Chicago Medical School is located on the south side of Chicago, still rated one of the most racially segregated cities on the planet. And the physicians that are coming out of the medical school are a different color than the patients in the hospitals. This dynamic needed to be broached because healthcare in the United States was getting extremely racist. So by teaching first-year physicians how to read the room, how to assess a space and connect with it, how to be both the patient and the doctor. Hello, Mr. Jackson, how are you doing? You great? I'm all right. My wife's giving me trouble about smoking again. Oh, funny enough, you smoke? My dad used to smoke. What kind of cigarettes do you smoke? Marlboro. In that moment, your patient is now honest and invested in their own wellness. I leave feeling empowered that I worked with these major medical institutions, worked with kids, learning comedy, being able to express themselves in a space. The comedy club environment for a child is the one place where they're not going to get a grade or get in trouble by their parents. It's purely neutral, and it's freeing, and kids will speak their truth because when they can speak their truth on a microphone, they don't need a gun. Sitting backstage at a comedy club one day, I'm like, ole, Allah, what's up? I'm at this show, ole. Like I was just using ole all the time, ole, ole. Like I was just using it all the time. Somebody gave me a bad sandwich, I'm like, ole, I want a different sandwich. I look in my email, I'm backstage, I look at my email, and in my email on 9/11/2020, I get an email from my former professor. Years later, 12, 13, who knows how many years later, 14 years later. Mona, I'm sorry. The powerful part about comedy isn't just we make you laugh. It's a space for unconditional forgiveness. Because in the comedy club, whether you're rich, poor, gay, straight, black, white, purple, whether you're a gangbanger, I've performed comedy with people backstage who had a gun in their pocket. They left the gang to come make people laugh. I've done a show where the police, the Chicago police, were arresting some people in the back, but I had to keep their attention. Hey, I was more powerful in that moment than the cops. Because even the scariest people in the world still laugh. They all still laugh. if I were a time traveler that was also like a business professional and could like finish my thesis early. Because remember, I never turned in the paper. And that's the part about a stand-up comedian. You have to keep an eye on your celebrities because the things that they are hiding might impact you if we take celebrity and wear it as truth. Dig deep. Expect more from your celebrities. They are leaders. They learn. They teach. If people are laughing, they're listening. If they're listening, what are they listening to? Lies? So I knew I had to face this thesis. I knew that was the lie. And if I were a time traveler, I would go back in time to Namibia in 1990, and I would say to the UN and to SWAPO, please open up a comedy club. It's the most neutral space, and even violence and hate can't survive in that space. As I perform around the world as a Palestinian, the entire globe is with us. Do you get that? From Rwanda to Iceland, the whole globe is pro-Palestine. And soon, they will want to hear what we have to say. How are we prepared? Let's bring some laughter. Let's bring some love. Let's remember the children of all abilities in this beautiful transition of how we unoccupy ourselves. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. One of the things in America nowadays is when people are talking and we're like, oh my gosh, this happened, oh my gosh, this happened, and then we're finished, we're like, okay, well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. It's now in vernacular about how powerful this institution is. And I hope, Professor, I hope this can serve at least as the beginning of my master's thesis that I owe you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.